What's up, my people? In this video, we're going to be talking about composite functions and what we have to do with them. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. So composite functions means we have more than one function. So we might have f of x and we might have a g of x. And what composite functions tell us is that we have to do something with those. So sometimes we'll have to add them together. Sometimes we'll have to subtract the two. This top one to typically be written like this. And the second one will be written like this. And when we multiply them, it'll be written like this. And then when we have to divide them, it'll be written like that. Okay. And then that's the simple part. So then we're going to get to some that are going to look like this. And there's a circle, and that does not mean multiplication. And what that means is we're going to take g of x and plug it into f of x. And I'll talk about what that means in a minute. And then the last thing that happens is sometimes we'll have f of g, and sometimes there will be an actual number there, let's say 2. And then when we have that, we're going to take the 2, we'll plug it into g. That's going to give us an answer. And whatever we get from that answer, we then plug it into f. So we're going to do a couple of examples of that here shortly. Let's get right into these questions. So the first question says g plus f of x. So I'm going to take g and then I'm going to add the f of x. And we're just going to go ahead and add combine like terms. Our final answer is going to be x cubed minus 3x plus 1. That is a composite function. When you add g of x to f of x, you end up with the x cubed minus 3x plus 1. All right, let's do a subtraction. So I'm going to take, this says I'm going to take f away from g. I'm going to take f subtracting, and I'm going to subtract g. So I'm going to take f first. And then I'm going to subtract g. Now, when it comes to the subtraction, when we were adding polynomials, remember that we had to go over that rule that said, if there's a subtraction on the outside, change this sign, change this sign, change this sign. Now we can combine like terms. So we got 3a plus 3 minus a squared plus 5. Anytime this is a plus sign, that makes our life easy. So let's go ahead and combine our like terms, find our final answer. I got this negative a squared. That's the biggest thing we got as far as exponents. I got a positive 3a right here. And then when I combine my 3 and my 5, I'm going to get a positive 8. Okay, that's number 2. Rolling right along. Let's get to number 3. This says we're going to multiply. So I'm going to take my g, and then I'm going to multiply that times h. Four x times negative 2x is negative 8x squared. 4x times negative 4 is going to be negative 16x. And then negative 2 times negative 2x is a positive 4x. And then I got the negative 2 times the negative 4 is the positive 8. I'm going to combine my like terms in the middle. And then my final answer is going to be negative 8x squared. And then negative 16x plus 4x is negative 12x. And then I got plus 8. That's my final answer. Now, what do you notice that's different about this one than the other ones? You see that there is a 2 in front of the G and a 3 in front of the H. What that means is, just like in algebra, if there's a number directly, just like in algebra 1, there's a number directly next to a variable, that means we're going to multiply that. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 2 times G. So that's going to be 2 times G. And we're going to add that to the 3 times the H. Okay, so this ends up becoming 2x plus 10. And then I end up with negative 6x cubed. And 3 times negative 1 is a negative 3. I'm going to go ahead and write my final answer and also combine like terms. This is my largest exponent, so that's going to go in the front. This is the only thing with an x. And then I got my 10 minus 3 is a positive 7. That is the final answer for that one. Okay, moving right along. Now here is where we got the open circle. So there's no number right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this h of x, all the stuff that's in h of x. Actually, no, I'm going to come back to 5. Yeah, I didn't want to do 6 first. Let's do 6 first. All right. I'm going to take my f of x and I'm going to plug it. I'm going to plug whatever I have for f of x into my g of x, anywhere I see. So I'm going to plug all of this everywhere I see an x up there. Okay, so that's what I mean. We're going to plug f of x into g of x. So that looks like this. We got 4. I'm going to put my x cubed plus 5x squared right there. And then I got my plus 1 at the back. 4x cubed plus 20x squared. And then I got my plus 1. And actually, that's the final answer. Okay, now we're going to go back to 5, and you'll see why. So now I have to take my h of x and plug it into g of x everywhere I see an x. So I'm going to plug this right here into this x and into that x. So this one's going to take a little bit more work. So first I'm going to do my first one, negative 3x plus 3 squared. So I put this one right there. Minus 3 parenthesis. Now I'm going to put this right there. Okay. Now, when anything is squared, what does that actually mean? It means that it's being multiplied times itself. Some students will be tempted to just try to square it like that, and that's not right. You have to multiply it times itself to get your correct numbers. So let's go ahead and finish just this side. We're working just on the negative 3x squared. So I got negative 3x times negative 3. That's a positive 9x squared. Negative 3 times a negative 3x times 3 is negative 9x. 3 times negative 3x is still negative 9x. And then 3 times 3 is a positive 9. And then I'm going to combine my like terms right here. So when it's all said and done with this side, we'll end up with 9x squared minus 18x plus 9. Now to go to the other side, this negative 3 has to multiply times this negative 3, and that ends up becoming positive 9x. And then this negative 3 times that positive 3 is a negative 9. So we're going to go ahead and combine our like terms. So we got the 9x squared in the front. And I have a negative 18x plus a 9x. That's going to be negative 9x. And then I have a positive 9 and a negative 9. And those cancel each other out. So this is just your answer. So hopefully you see why I decided to do 5 last. So yeah, that one's takes a little bit more work. All right, on the next page, we're going to actually plug in. Oh, before I do that, we got to do some division ones. So some division. Here we go. So I'm going to take my G and I'm going to divide it by F. So I'm going to take G has to be divided by F. Well, anytime I have the ability to factor or the option to factor, I'm going to definitely try it. So I have x minus 2 on the top, and I can factor out an x, and I'm left with x minus 2, which means that these are going to cancel because they're the same. And when everything cancels on the top, you're left with just 1 up there, and you're left with x. This is the final answer for this one. And finally, in this piece, another division one. So we got to do F divided by G. At this moment, I actually want you to pause it and see if you can figure this one out. And when you think you got it, unpause it and continue going. All right, go ahead and pause the video now. All right, now that you've had time to check it out, let's see. So I got to put my F on the top. And I got to put my G on the bottom. Okay, so both of those can be factored. And remember what I told you, if the front number has a negative, you want to pull that out. So we're going to pull out a negative 3 here. Oh, we're going to pull out a negative 3, and they both have an n. So I'm going to pull out negative 3 n. I'll be left with n. And then minus 1, because negative 3 times a negative 1 is the positive 3. And then on the bottom, I can see that they both have a 4, so I can pull out 4. I'm left with n minus 1. And now that I see that, I can actually cancel these. And so my final answer is just this part, the negative 3n over 4. Okay. Now we're going to actually see what happens when we actually plug in numbers. So we have f times g of 8. What that means is we need to plug in 8 to each function and then multiply the two answers together. Okay. So f of 8 is going to be equal to 8 plus 3. So I'm taking this number and I'm plugging it in there, and I'm going to plug it in there. So that's the first one. And then on the second one, g of 8, that's going to be equal to 2 times 8 minus 5. And then 2 times 8 is 16 minus 5 equals 11. So now we have to do, because it says we got to multiply that, I got to do 11 times 11 equals 121. That's the final answer. Okay? All right. Next question. I have to, now remember earlier, I said sometimes if we're given a number, so we're not going to plug this -3 into both because this isn't multiplying. This is taking an answer from one and plugging it in. So what's going to happen first, I'm going to take this -3 and plug it into H. That's going to give me a random number. Once I get that random number, I'm going to then take the answer from that and plug it into G. Okay? So let's take care of that first. So H of -3, so I'll do that in purple, is I'm going to do 2 -3 squared minus 4. -3 squared is 9. And then 2 times 9 is 18. Minus 4 is 14. I'm going to now take this 14 and plug it into G. So G of 14 is going to be -4 times 14 plus 2. And then -4 times 14 happens to be -56 plus 2. And that final answer is going to be -54. So this is the final answer for this equation. Okay? So anytime you see this open circle in the middle, this thing right here, that always means, if you go back to what I said in the front, we're going to do something first and then plug it in. And if there's let's zoom that back out. And if there's a number, we take this number, plug it in first. And after we get that, we take that final answer and plug it into the other one. So that's what I was talking about there. Okay, let's go back, and I got 2 more examples. All right, so we're going to do G of f of -5. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in -5 into G. We're going to plug in -5 into f, and then divide the two. So I'm going to put -5 into G. This ends up becoming -15 minus 4 is -19. And then I'm going to divide that into, I'm going to put f of -5 equals, I'm going to put -5 here, cubed minus 4. -5 times -5 times -5 is -125. Minus 4 equals -129. And our rules say we're going to take our 2 answers and divide them. So we end up with -19 over -129. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So we really want just to put 19 over 129. That is that final answer. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and do the last one on this one in this video. So we have to do a combination of things. We got to multiply h by 2, then plug in the -3, and then we're going to multiply the bottom line by 3, then plug in the -3, and then we're going to subtract the 2. So according to this says 2 times h. Let's use a different color. This is 2 times h. So let's go ahead and let's figure out what 2 times h is going to be 2 times 4x minus 1. That's 8x minus 2. Now that we've done that, we got to plug this -3 in. And then 8 times -3 is -24 minus 2, -26. So that's our first answer, -26. Then I have to multiply 3 times the g. Three times g of x. So that's going to be 3 times -x minus 5. That ends up becoming -3x minus 15. And then I have to, again, take this -3 and plug it in. So I got -3 minus 15, because I have to plug it into the equation we just figured out. And then -3 times -3 is a positive 9. Minus 15 equals -6. Okay, now that I have that, I need to do my first thing minus, and then I have to subtract what I found for 3g was -6. Swap that, that's -20. And excuse me, and that's how you take care of those. All right, and that should do the trick. If you have any further questions, you can come see me. I will tell you that there is more than one way to do these, but this is the method I happen to show. If you have any other further questions, come see me. You guys have a good day.